knowing that we are infinite is crucial
It's
here.
critical. Yeah.
You can't, because otherwise it has to be service to self, because this is all that I have. If
Yeah.
I'm just this one little flicker of,
Well,
cosmic energy that's manifested, and then I'm gone,
yeah,
or even
that's
worse, I'm damned to hell, or I'm going to heaven, and that's it, right? Like, it's again this just duality of possibilities.
yeah, it's the controller's story that they've been giving us. We've been taught to think that we're separate and that we need to be aware of the other person, that we need to be concerned about what this country or this country's doing, that we're, races, the whole gamut is a control structure. It's used to control us. As long as we're separate, we're going to be controlled. As long as and when we take our sovereignty and come together, there's nothing they can do, the controllers. So that's there's a big rabbit hole for that. I'm not sure we want to go into all that.
I mean,
because
that
we're here
feels
to
like
talk.
a
We're here
nice.
to talk about higher consciousness, which this is all a part of that. Us coming from a control system into our sovereignty.
Right. Can you speak to the sovereignty component?
The sovereignty is us taking responsibility and accountability for our creative energies, because that we are creators. Even when you're creating, even in default, you may not even know you're a creator, but if you're thinking that you are separate from everyone else and that you have nothing and that you hate everyone else, that's what you're going to bring into your life. That's
right. You are creating.
You are creating it. Yes, you are bringing that energy to you and creating it in coordination with the co-creative abilities that you have with universe. So all I'm doing is saying, okay, we're sovereign. I am a sovereign, infinite soul, and that I have the ability to initiate a co-creative endeavor with my guides, with other people's guides, with the universe, to develop something for the highest good of myself and everyone else involved. That's what the universe actually wants, is this co-creation, because that's what we are. We're a part of all this. Does your body not co-create with itself?
Absolutely. It's co-creating.
It's exactly the same thing.
Right.
So that's the reason I talk about the body like that, is because it is the easiest example of understanding why the universe works the way that it does. So we're a part of this body, and we have a function within this body, and so does everything else.
Can you speak to the idea? You said contract earlier, and if it's a bit of a paradox, because as an individual, I want to have individual choice and free will, and yet then on the flip side of the same spectrum here is that there's actually a divine calling, and we have all these incredible angels, guides, however you want to frame it. We have intuitive faculties, singular God, plural gods, however the person, the individual listening is actually describing and defining that for yourself. That's okay, period. We're speaking just from our perspectives, right? Our vantage points. And the more that unity, universe, right? Like, all these things are connected. We are one body. We are, like, this is one planet that we all are little organisms of, period. And to live unconsciously would be, my decisions, my actions are so small that they don't matter. And that's just, in my opinion, that's false.
Yep.
I believe that every micro decision actually matters. That's why I've got right over here the ripple effect.
Yep.
It's so important that even the smallest pebble, when it's dropped on the pond, creates a lasting ripple effect.
Right. Yeah, the contract is an agreement for, as far as I understand this now, within my understanding, is we make this contract and this agreement with our guides and for this incarnation. But this is not set in stone. This is about bringing events into our life to make choices and use our energies for experience and learning. Okay, so we come in and the guides know we have this planned at such and such date, and we do too in our subconscious. So you go to bed at night and you are revisiting some of your plan.
Right.
Am I on target or not? Okay. And in your subconscious, which gives us intuition and feeling about what we need to be doing. So during our wake state, we make choices, and we go to a choice point, and of course we're making choices all the time, throughout the day, for everything we're doing. But your guides are trying to guide you to this choice point and this experience that you were going to have. So you have this experience for either you pass it, or you make the choice you were hoping you would make, or you don't.
Right.
To experience this. But it's not set in concrete. I mean, your choices can get you going very awry. And that's when your guides start using a little bit more and a little bit more, what would you call it? Giving you a little more help.
Some nudges,
shakenings and things to get you back on the path. And still at night, you're connecting in, and all of this is working together. People don't realize that. That's why you wake up in the morning, you've had these dreams, and then you go out next week and some of that dream happens.
Right.
Because that's a part of what you're supposed to be experiencing. Deja vu or whatever. It's a part of the experiencing you're supposed to be encountering. So you go through these things, but you can go through your life. You have a path you're supposed to go down, but you can get off of it and have to come back and redo things. And, this goes on and on. I mean, you could revisit something over and over, maybe not in the next life, but even several lives down the road. But it's not as, there's people that think that this is just a really set thing, that you're gonna encounter this as you go. Now, let me throw a caveat in this that may throw everybody for a loop.
I'm ready.
It's pretty much a person that's more unconscious, that's having to have a lot of nudges and really getting off track. You're just really not doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you get in alignment with your plan, of course, what happens? It's easier. You have more joy.
Flow.
You have more flow. And those things happen. But also there's this thing of ascending in consciousness. So we have a plan, of course, in every lifetime to get to a certain level, but we can actually exceed things in a lifetime, exceed the evolution that we thought we were going to have in a lifetime, and keep going and evolve past in some ways. You have the ability to do that. So you have the ability to raise yourself up and connect with your higher your higher consciousness in such a way that you are pretty much the higher consciousness in form. When you do that, you're making decisions. The chart kind of goes away. Your higher self is just sitting there making decisions right in the moment.
Right.
In form.
Well, that's the true co-creative alignment.
Yes.
Because everything's in the now.
Yes. Everything's in the now, and you are the higher essence in form in that. When you're doing that, you can actually change. Your chart kind of goes out the door. If it's up to the higher self, you are the higher self.
Right.
It's you becoming what's called self-realized. If you look in some
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization,
you become self-actualized. You become the higher essence, and there's even higher frequencies in that. You can get into your higher, you lock in with your higher consciousness, but you can actually move into God consciousness or creator consciousness, which is a much purer, at even a Christed level.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very high frequency.
And that's when somebody's referred to as an ascended master.
Yes, you could be there's a few on planet, not many, but you can achieve that level. But yeah, it's, you become self-realized or self-actualized. You are the higher essence in form, which your highest essence, I'm not talking about the Christed essence that you are or the God essence. I'm talking about that higher self that is another aspect of you that is ahead of you in time.
What does that mean?
More ahead of in time, more advanced at a higher frequency in evolution.
So I thought if the fourth dimension would be time, fifth dimension would be separate from time. The next level beyond that, right?
My higher self is higher than that, to my knowledge. I mean, it's not my higher self is not a fifth dimensional. If we want to talk about in dimensions, that's a whole nother can of worms. But we can embody fifth dimensional self now because the frequencies are moving into fifth dimensional.
So we're skipping fourth.
Oh, we're not skipping fourth.
What does that mean?
You're actually operating in fourth dimension with fourth dimensional consciousness right now.
How do you define that?
The fourth dimension is time, understanding the moving back and forth in time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fourth dimensional consciousness. I more involved experience with that would be going into meditation and seeing time moving back and forward, or seeing other locations in your meditation. But that's taking all of this out of the way so I can see things. But you're still operating in that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth dimensional consciousness is really where you are more in unity consciousness, and you are more unconditional love. You are more will, power, wisdom. You have co-creative abilities. You have telepathics, clairaudience, clairsentience. And you are more of a teacher. We become more teacher souls, where we're actually going to be working with other civilizations and other people who are at third and fourth density, working with them and through them. when we move into a higher level.
Right.
We're just now at the door.
Right.
You know,
So how do you define that further then? There's all these different models, right? There's, 9-dimensional framework that Matthias DeStefano, defines really well. There's, I've heard, 12th dimensional
I've heard so many
Arcturian, it's
I've
like,
heard
what,
so many different things. It's
what do you feel intuitively? What is it that your guides
what I
share?
feel intuitively is layers of consciousness
Mm.
that we're really all in. It's all the same area, but you have a perception that's within a layer of consciousness that as you go out, your perception increases into more and more and more. So for me, it's a little troublesome.
The numbers seem like there's something born of the mind, like the physical mind.
The number game is kind of, it's kind of troublesome to me, because when I talk to consciousness, I call consciousness that's of an area. I call Christ consciousness. I call the highest Christ to me. I don't say, okay, I want 13th dimensional consciousness to come into me now.
Right.
Or I want 11th dimensional consciousness. I want my 11th dimensional Arcturian self. No, I don't do that. And I'm not making fun of people who do that. I'm just saying, for me, I don't connect with that. I connect with a type or an area of consciousness that does have some labels of characteristic. And for me, consciousness is defined in levels of perception, and these levels of perception are, like I said, greater and greater, because I'm becoming more, my awareness is expanding from, like, I'm right here, and my levels of awareness are expanding out into these other layers of consciousness. And my perception becomes not just this anymore, but it becomes other areas of, of being, what's going on.
It's so easy to think about it through that lens. It's like driving a car. The headlights are going to show you at night, right? The headlights are going to show you a certain amount of what is in your surroundings.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And you're driving, you're moving through physical time, that 4th dimension. And so then the road is curving, right? We've got our lines to stay within. Usually, some roads don't have any lines, right? There's gravel
that's
roads.
A great way to think about that. I resonate with that too. That's what's happening. And as you raise your frequency up, you really expand past that.
So it's like high beams come on, and now all of a sudden there's like, there's all this stuff up and around, and I can see even further. And then, then there's halogen or HID bulbs, right?
High intensity discharge. It just gets more intense. Yeah. So that's, that's kind of been my experience is as I focus on being pure, letting go of all the trash and everything, as I focus on being pure and unconditionally loving, what's happening is my frequency just keeps going up and up and up. As that happens, I have these new experiences that come online. This thing about merging with people now, it's not a completely new experience, but the perception of it has, all of a sudden, it's jumped to a more expanded level of feeling and sensing and knowing as I do these energy mergings and send energy to this place or that place. It's become more that way.
It's so interesting as you're describing this. It's, it's just layers, because all of this already is in every single one of us at all times, in all places, right? And so it's, that's that idea of consciousness, is there's greater and greater awareness. It's like, that's actually what's going on. I can impact that. I can actually add energy to it to then, oh, I can sense the other energies that are taking place. Oh, now I can actually co-create within this space, right? And this is what we do intuitively anyways. Just this is the humaning experience, and probably similar for all beings, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's a universal thing. A lot of the things that we've forgotten how to do are universal, and there are a lot of other beings that do this naturally that haven't been suppressed like we have. We've been suppressed to think we're something other than what we are. And all I've done is ignore what they were saying. Basically. And like I've told you before, and I've told others, my guides told me really early on to be simple.
Yes.
I said, you humans are way too complex.
Yes.
Just be simple. So my whole journey has been me being very simple in my approach and what I'm doing with my energy and what I'm doing with my thoughts.
In let's see, it was what was his name? The name's escaping me right now, but it was a martial arts kind of instruction, and it was born of the military, and it's slow is fast, fast is smooth. Right? And the way that we actually train the physical body, even just going, trains it into our neural nets. So then if there is a time that you need to actually leverage, the self-defense, for example, it's automatic and it's at full speed, even though we've been training at like a 10th.
So what you're saying is very true. And it's the same way with the rest of this. And what I try to tell people is focus, commitment. When I wanted to learn how to meditate, I started with 5 minutes and was a dismal failure at 5 minutes even. But the difference is,
it wasn't, but your perception of it was.
My perception of it was, okay. So
why are we so mean to ourselves?
Yes,
oh my goodness.
Really. So it's that same methodology, focus, commitment, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. It got easy. 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. When I was training for my second degree black belt, I was doing 1,000 push-ups a day and 1,000 crunches. Yeah. I was like an army tank.
1,000?
Yeah. Yes.
What?
1,000. Yeah. I was doing 1,000. I was doing in hundreds, clips of 100.
Dang, Joda.
Yeah. And the way now the way I did that, is at first, all I could muster was 25. And then I added 5. And all I could do was 30. And then I added 35.
Yes.
And I added 40. And I'd do that for like 2 weeks. And then I would add another 10. And I'd do 50. And in a couple of months, I was doing 100 in a clip. Then I would do 2 sets. And then 3 sets. Till I got to 10 sets of 100. But all that was me going, climbing the mountain.
Totally.
And it's the same. And the reason I mention all this is I'm not special. I'm just focused and committed.
Yep.
So
over an extended duration.
Yes, over an extended duration. So through that type of effort, learning how to communicate with my guides, I spent years doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't walk out and go, okay, guys, let's have a conversation. You know, it took a lot of automatic writing, you
Mm,
know, and some days I would do real well, and some days I I wouldn't be able to do much at all, and then I would be able to do something the next day. And then
right.
it, like I've told you, everyone before, it just over a period of years, I got to where I can telepathically communicate, and it's just it's part of me now. It's part of the mechanism that I've turned on, and
Do you
it's just there.
do you still choose to write?
Uh, Not much anymore. It's
Hmm.
easier to just talk with them.
Right, right. But like as far as because I'm sitting here next to some of my journals and
Yeah,
like it's amazing just flicking through and it's like the level of consciousness to have that becoming yourself, individuality, self-conscious
yeah.
stories. Oh man, this is so fascinating.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, you know, writing is good. I mean, I spent several years writing and blogging and doing, you know, writing different things, and it was amazing. You know, I would have these sessions, and I would go back and look at them later, and I'd go, "Holy smokes!" You know, it's not me.
Mm,
I mean, doesn't use my language, doesn't, you know,
it is you.
well,
It's
it is
all
me, but
you.
it
But it
was
was
not
before
something
you
I
were
was used to.
conscious that it's
Yeah,
actually you.
right. At that time, I was not. So I was going, holy smokes, you know. So, but just focus and commitment on all of this, and it doesn't take as long nowadays. The energy
And
is different now,
yeah, and the other component is that acceptance,
and it's acceptance. Yes.
accepting myself exactly where I am, how I'm feeling, right? We're such feeling based entities. I know for
Mm-hmm.
myself, that's a big guiding force. Um, Accepting no matter what, like if I
Yeah.
feel really bad, it's okay. It's the judgment, like, no, I shouldn't feel that way, or like, you've got the skills to flip it. You can just use your mind to, and it's like, no, if it's here for a reason. I want to experience it. I need to feel the full bandwidth of the wave, right? Which allows me to connect deeper with myself, which allows me to connect deeper with everybody else that I interact with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a, you know, I love that because it's just, we go deeper and deeper with people. That's one of the biggest things that, for me personally, is to be in a group like we have and be in these events, especially the events. I
Yes.
mean, go into these events and go into such deep states of consciousness and being with each other
Yes.
in this in these events and even in our meetings, you know, that we have, but especially this group coherence that you have in this energy, and seeing this energy work, experiencing it working not only in yourself but in, you know, in everyone else that you're with, and just sharing the profound love.
Mm.
For me, been a huge thing, is just being able to share the profound love with everyone, because I spent a lot of years where that wasn't present.
Yeah.
It was just me.
It's
And
our default state of the amygdala, the lizard brain. Like we're
yeah,
we're two brains like literally smashed together. We're
yeah,
like the computational force and the fight, flight, or freeze. Like it's crazy. That acceptance piece is so massive. To just reframe unconditional love to fully accept everyone and everything right now, no matter what, that's easier for me to grasp onto and hold on to during emotional